My belief in the power of education to transform lives comes from my family. While I am the third generation to graduate with at least a bachelor's degree, my grandparents did not come from financial privilege. Quite the contrary. But despite their humble beginnings, they were able to leverage their college educations to accomplish more than their parents had dared to dream for them or their descendants. On my father's side, my grandfather, Howard Scott Ash Sr., grew up the son of a miner. It was at Arizona State Teachers College at Tempe that he met my grandmother, Margaret Bailey, and the two of them both graduated with their bachelor's degrees in education, with Howard becoming an elementary school teacher, school principal, Navy communications officer in World War II, and after the war, working a civil service job at the Naval Electronics Lab in Point Loma, California. In 1947, he and two colleagues started the Electronic Technical Institute to provide certificate training for returning veterans. In 1957, it had expanded to offer the bachelor's degree in electronic engineering and was known as Western States College of Engineering. Howard served as vice president, becoming the college president in the mid-1960s. On my mother's side, my grandfather, Baird Emmons, was raised in the small town of Center, Nebraska, with a population of 125 residents. His dad was sheriff, but they had so little money they could only afford to eat meat once a week. Baird was an excellent student and was accepted to the University of Nebraska at only 16 years old. Baird worked 3 jobs to support himself through college. It was at his job as a waiter at the University Club that he met my grandmother, Gwendolyn Guest, whom everyone called Gwen. She was a preacher's daughter and had been working since she was 9 years old to help support their large family of 8 children. Gwen was able to start college with the help of a speech scholarship. Like Baird, she worked several jobs in order to afford to attend college. Both graduated from the University of Nebraska with their bachelor's degrees. Baird also served as a communications officer in the Navy during World War II, and afterwards, while recovering from a war injury, he took the U.S. Foreign Service exams and became vice consul in the U.S. Foreign Service, stationed in Singapore and then Australia, where my mother was born. They moved back to Washington, D.C. in 1950, where Baird graduated from law school. They moved to California, where he practiced law, and my grandmother completed her teaching credential, becoming an English teacher at Santa Monica High School. My parents, Howard Scott Ash Jr. and Sharon K. Emmons, met at Santa Monica High School during their sophomore year. After high school, my dad attended Santa Monica College and my mom went to UC Santa Barbara. My mom dropped out after her freshman year to marry my dad, and I was born in 1970, followed 2 years later by my sister. We lived in Santa Monica, only a few blocks away from all of my grandparents. My dad worked as an avionics technician for the Air National Guard during the day and attended his dad's college at night. When I was 4, my dad graduated with his bachelor's degree in electronic engineering. He got a job as an engineer at the Naval Weapons Station in Port Hueneme, and my family moved from Santa Monica to Ventura, where I grew up in a predominantly white upper-middle-class suburb. My mom stayed at home until I was about 10, while also taking classes part-time at Ventura College. I had plenty of personal and academic support at home and lived a happy, comfortable life surrounded by books, plenty of toys, and Christmases that were over the top with presents. School was always a priority. I was in the GATE program, and my mom did math flashcards with us and put our spelling words on the refrigerator, helped us with our homework, volunteered in our classrooms, and we were read to every night. During elementary school, I thought I would become a teacher like my grandmother, inspired by her stories of helping students. I made my cousins play school, writing lesson plans and grading their homework. Always the leader, it was my job to come up with games and activities and make sure that everyone was getting along. We were a busy family that spent weekends, holidays, and summers traveling, visiting family and friends, and generally having fun. We went camping all over the western U.S. and Canada, and we rented houseboats and went water skiing with our ski boat. My dad often traveled to Europe for work, and when I was 11, we traded houses with a French friend of his for a month. There we visited chateaus, museums, Paris, and even England. I always enjoyed seeing the sights and learning about the history and culture of new places. At Buena High School, I ran cross-country, track, wrote for the school newspaper, joined the Future Business Leaders of America, and served as treasurer of Girls League, where I helped organize school dances and directed a fashion show. Inspired by our time in France, I took 4 years of French, winning an award and a small scholarship. While I enjoyed many of these activities, I was also building up my participation and leadership experience for my college applications. College was something we always talked about in my family growing up. We were never asked if we wanted to go to college. It was just assumed we were going, and we never questioned it. After visiting several university campuses, I fell in love with the University of San Diego, applied and was accepted. But while I loved USD, I ended up transferring to CLU for my sophomore year of college, where my grandmother Gwen now worked as a mentor teacher, to be closer to home and to my boyfriend. I graduated from CLU 3 years later with my bachelor's degree in communication arts, and my mom graduated right beside me, finally earning her degree too in political science. I moved to Arizona after college, and my first job in higher education was at a small private college with only a few hundred students, where I started as the coordinator of clinical training, was promoted to manager of academics, and then became an assistant dean. But I missed California, and when a job opened up at CLU, I jumped at the chance to join their admissions team. As an admission counselor, my recruitment territory included Ventura, Orange, and San Diego counties, plus Arizona. Working with students from underrepresented groups, many of whom were first-generation college students, I saw the need for additional financial aid to help close the gap between CLU's provided package and the actual cost of attendance. I successfully lobbied for CLU to create a multicultural grant of $2,000, allowing us to recruit CLU's most diverse class ever. My colleague Gloria Lopez, our coordinator of transfer admission, taught me to evaluate transcripts and create transfer plans for students. She also encouraged me to join her in CLU's master's degree program in counseling and guidance, and told me I would never regret getting a graduate degree. I was nervous about being up to the task, but she was right. And when we hired new, younger admission counselors, I always gave them the same advice that she gave me. When Gloria was on maternity leave, I filled in for her and really found my passion for working with the transfer population. When she moved to Oxnard College, I became the new Associate Director of Admission and Coordinator of Transfer Admission at CLU, and created the first CLU Transfer Guide. I joined California State University Channel Islands, or CI, as its first academic advisor, and helped create the Advising Center, including the original forms and processes we used with students. I loved having a small caseload because I was able to really get to know my students. It made their graduation that much more special. While I enjoyed advising, I was often frustrated with the complications of the articulation and transfer process. Students had courses they didn't need, the ones they took weren't articulated, and I was always sending them back to the community college to get their CSU GE certification in order to save them from an additional 12 units of general education. After 5 years at CI, I was looking for a way to make more of a difference for students, and when I saw that Oxnard College was hiring an articulation officer, I jumped at the chance to move to what had been my favorite college to visit when I was an admission counselor because of its friendly atmosphere. Articulation has been a perfect fit for me, and in the last 17 years, not only have I worked at increasing the articulation Oxnard has with the CSU, UC, and private institutions, but I have led the college's implementation of associate degrees for transfer, adoption of CID descriptors, and credit for prior learning, including AP, IB, CLEP, military credit, and industry credentials. I have helped faculty to develop new programs, like the first AA in Chicano Studies in our county, and to design courses that will articulate for transfer credit. I have also chaired the General Education Committee for 17 years, creating its policies, the first GE handbook, and most recently, developing a new district-wide GE pattern that will have fewer units to help students complete GE more quickly and easily. In spring 2013, I was appointed to the position of Faculty Curriculum Co-Chair, one of the most powerful positions in faculty governance, heavily relied upon to keep up with the ever-changing state academic regulations. I took on the challenge, transforming the curriculum committee from one that was feared and avoided into one that faculty actually enjoyed being a part of. I created a welcoming environment, provided coffee and treats, offered praise and support, and thanked people often. I empowered the committee by providing more information and training during meetings, and divided curriculum review among members in teams, increasing participation and creating expertise. Like Carl Rogers, my family taught me that you bring out the best in others by treating them with unconditional positive regard, empathy, and support. By leading others in this way, I built trust, which allowed me to create new policies and systems that improved the way Oxnard College handles curriculum. My goal was always to make all of our curriculum current and compliant, because that ultimately benefits our students, and I'm proud to say that in my 10 years serving as the chair, I accomplished that. My family also taught me that education can change not only your life, but the lives of your children, grandchildren, and even great-grandchildren. And as an educational leader, I am motivated to give all of our students that same opportunity and support that I had. I know that my grandparents would all be proud of the educational leader that I have become.